What's up YouTube? Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a profile update that I've been working on for quite a while now, and that is of course Yubel. Now, this uses the exact same kind of supporting engine as is currently being used in Mementos and Kashtira's, being the Radiant Typhoons. Now the reason for that one is the Radiant Typhoons can very easily, without using up your normal summon, bridge you into the Fiendsmiths. However, what it can also get you to is either a monster negate in the form of number 75 Gossip Shadow, or it can get you into a direct spell or trap negate in the form of Totem Bird. So it can technically give you one half of what a Varudras would provide you without needing to commit too much, and it can do all of this without even needing to use your normal summon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, show you exactly what we've got, and if you get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, I will also bring you a test stand combo video so you can see how this deck really wants to work in action, because what you do is you have your natural way to get to Fiendsmith if you just hard open up one of the copies, but then you also have the ability to get into it through the back of the Radiant Typhoons, which can give you a little bit more gas for the deck as well. So diving head first into the profile, starting with our Yubel cards, we go with 2 Spirit of Yubel and then 1 original Yubel. So we do also play 1 Terra Incarnate as well, just to kind of fill up the family. You can play the Unending Nightmare should you want to. I'm quite happy with a 2 1-on-1 ratio, as it's very easy to get direct access to these particular cards. The idea is that Spirit floats into Yubel, Yubel floats into Terra, and if you really wanted to, you could cut out Terra completely. I just like it as an unknown factor because not a lot of Yubel players actually do that. And it's the exact same with the Unending Nightmare. It's one of the ones where you're like, cool, I'll get rid of Yubel Terra Incarnate, nothing's going to come from it. And then all of a sudden your opponent goes, aha, Unending Nightmare. And it makes it very, very awkward when they do get Nightmare Pain on field, because the Nightmare Pain is just going to redirect all the attacks and you're going to be forced to attack and then forced to take the damage. So insanely powerful win con of this deck. And I feel just as time's gone on, I'm quite happy with Yubel not having as direct access to the Fiendsmith package. So I feel that in the future, if the Fiendsmith package was to drift off a little bit further, I could very easily see Phantom of Yubel coming back to 2 or even 3, just because I think it's just a really good card for the deck itself in general. Then for our main starter of the deck, or our secondary main starter, technically, but our main Yubel starter will be your 3 Samsara D Lotus, backed up by 2 Gruesome Grave Squirmer. Now, for those of you that are new to Yubel, these are kind of like your ideal ones to go for, because Samsara D Lotus will get you into Spirit of Yubel, and then as you work your way off of the back of Spirit of Yubel, getting you into Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain gets you into Gruesome Grave Squirmer, and then you just build on from there, on and on and on. And the Grave Squirmer being able to bring back a Spirit of Yubel or a Yubel from the graveyard just gives you another bit of fighting power. Not to mention the additional effect of the Samsara D Lotus, that it can change a monster effect to become destroy a Yubel monster instead, which is really important because changing monster effects is quite effective in comparison to like negating the effects sometimes, which could put you in a bit more advantage than disadvantage. Then for the spell cards, we've got 3 Nightmare Throne. You can play Terraform if you want to. I'm trying to be a little bit respectful of Droll on this one, but that's where the Fiendsmith package really comes into it, because if you do get hit with Droll Notbird, the Fiendsmith package does then start opening up the door for you to be able to still set up some form of multiple disruption. Like a high Wave King Caesar is very, very powerful in just today's modern game as it is. And then if you have to choose to do it, if you choose to use Desiree instead, again, that can be just as effective for you. Then for the final Yubel-esque card, we are playing 2 Nightmare Pain. Now, the reason I'm playing 2 Nightmare Pain is I just feel being able to hard open up a card like this can really help you out a little bit more. I feel there's a lot of ways to be able to get this off the field, and that's what a lot of players will do against Yubel, because if you get rid of Nightmare Pain, that's it. That's mainly Yubel's win con gone and dusted. They then just become a bit more of a wall deck that's a little bit strong, a little bit harder to get past, and that's why playing the Fiendsmith package and other generic cards in the extra deck, being like your Unchained cards, can really give you a bit more disruption. So you still want to be able to get access to this. Now there's a different option you can go for, and that is playing the Chronicle. Just trying to find it to the one side. There we go. You can choose to play the Mature Chronicle, so like 1 Mature Chronicle and 1 Nightmare Pain if you wanted to. Usually I would play that just because you could search out Super Polymerization, and I feel that this gets better if you are playing Super Polymerization. But in this particular version, I think having 2 Nightmare Pain is absolutely fine. Yes, if you open up 2 of them, it does get a little bit annoying, but if you open up 1 of them, then it means your search for the back of your Spirit of Yubel could be opened up a little bit, but it also means that just getting a second Nightmare Pain in rotation is not that bad of an idea. Then for the main normal summon of the engine, we've got 2 Dark Beckoning Beast with the 1 Chaos Summoning Beast. You can play 3 Dark Beckon if you wanted to. I decided to go with 3 opening and spirit gates, but you can go with 3 dark beckoning and 2 opening. Now the reason I've gone with a 2-1-3, 3-2-1 would be more logical to say, is the fact that the opening spirit gates is mandatory to search. So if I go normal summon dark beckoning, search out opening spirit gates, and my opponent goes droll, okay, I can't go anywhere. But if I activate the opening and spirit gates, which is probably the more important one to have in rotation, because the idea is of opening spirit gates is it gives you that access to get you if you can get a Spirit of Yubel from the hand to the graveyard, it gives you that ability to revive it from the grave, which is really important. So I would much rather opening the spirit gates, search out the dark beckoning, normal the dark beckoning, and then I could search out a second opening spirit gates if I wanted to, but in this scenario, you want to search out a chaos summoning beast if you don't have anything else. Now, the reason you need to have nothing else is because you would much rather use your additional normal summon on a Sansara D Lotus. The idea behind this one is in the past, you would go Dark Beckoning Beast, Chaos Summoning Beast, and then straight away into the Moon, closed Moon Goddess. In this scenario, you're just going to be going into a Shavara, but the idea is you're trying to get a 0-0 to the graveyard off of that play. Yes, you could use a Almirage if you wanted to, but what we're trying to do here is get these both to the graveyard. Then we could utilize opening the Spirit Gates to discard a card, bring one back of a Spirit of Yubel would be the ideal scenario, or at the base minimum, you bring back the Dark Beckoning Beast. You're going to be searching out your Shavara, and then you're going to be able to have your plays there as you need to. Speaking of the Unchained engine, we are playing 1 Unchained Soul of Shavara and 1 Escape. You could very easily use the other trap card if you wanted to. It makes no real big difference. The only benefit by being able to play Chamber is that Chamber lets you revive. So it means you could actually afford to link off your Rage if you wanted to, or it can bring the Rage back if your opponent destroys it before it's able to trigger its effect to link with one of your opponent's monsters. Whereas Escape just gives you more of a way of being able to disrupt cards. If you get hit with a board negator or a field negator, you have the ability to still respond. So either or, down to personal preference, use whichever one you wish. Then onto the main supporting engine of this deck being the Radiant Typhoons. So we are on 3 of the Eldam. So this one, exactly the same as the next card I'm going to show you, which is the Sven, have the exact same kind of summoning clause, that if you have Mystical Space Typhoon in your graveyard or your opponent has no spells and traps, you get to special summon this card from the hand. Now, the Sven or normal or special lets you add a Radiant Typhoon spell or trap or a Mystical Space Typhoon from the deck. The Eldan lets you add a Radiant Typhoon monster. So the idea is you start off with Eldan, that's going to be your ideal starter. Special summon this down going first. Search out Sven, then you get to special summon down the Sven. Sven will then search you out your chance. Now, you can play the other quick play if you wanted to, the one that lets you draw 2, discard 1. Absolutely fine. You could probably very easily play a 1 and a 1. The reason I'm playing 2 Radiant Typhoon Chant is that I have the ability to activate Chant during the draw phase to add a level 4 or lower Radiant Typhoon monster from the deck to the hand. So the idea is that if I get this off as Sven, because I've hard opened up Sven, I can then use Chant to get me the Eldam. So if I was to go Sven, add back the Typhoon, my opponent goes Droll, I'll go cool, chain the Chant, grab me the Eldam, and I can still summon down the Eldam, and I still have Fiendsmith plays. So you've got a couple of different options. Really kind of comes down to where you'd want to take it. I want to prioritize open up Eldam. I still have the ability that if I hard open up Chant during the draw phase, activate Chant, grab the Eldam, move into the main phase, special summon down Eldam, search out, use Sven summons itself down, and then Radiant Typhoon. Just as a preview, so like for those of you unfamiliar how that these bridge into the Fiendsmith package, you get to go into your Melody, the Brass Djinn, which is a level 3 Light Fiend, and then that of course goes into Requiem and off you go. So that's kind of how you get into it. I like it as a very small engine. I do also play the 1 Mystical Space Typhoon. You don't have to play it, but it's just quite nice that you can add a Mystical Space Typhoon consistently back from the grave. Or if your opponent has spells and traps and you get access to the Mystical Space Typhoon, you can activate this, put this in the graveyard, and then straight away your Sven and your Eldam are active without you needing to use your normal summon. So very, very kind of cool. I thought it was a good option to utilize, but you could, like I've already said, play a 1, 1, and 1 if you wanted to play the other quick play spell card, but we're not playing that many quick play spell cards. I didn't feel that the draw to discard was really worth it. Then for the Fiendsmith package, really minimise this one, so it's literally just 1 Tract, 2 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, and 1 Lurry. The idea is that because you don't need Tract to get you into Lurry to start the entire Fiendsmith package off, you can rely on them a lot less. You can go straight away, Eldam, Eldam plus Sven, get you into your Djinn. Djinn does the exact same job that the Lurry would have done, so you could afford to cut the Lurry if you wanted to. But then as you work through there, Lacrima, send the Engraver, you've got Engraver in the graveyard. You can then make either your rank 6, because you'll go through the Neko Quip. You could very easily put a Chaos Angel in the extra deck, which is something that I would consider. But it kind of just comes down to what you have, what you want to put in, and what you don't. The other option off the back of the Lurry as well, if you wanted to cut it completely, is you could play Paradise, but I prefer to have that in the side deck because it's just a brick that you don't really want to see. Like, you're already doing that in a brick with the form of the Unchained trap card. It's like a card you don't want to be seeing in your hand. You want to search it out later on down the line. But it just kind of gives you a few different options. Then the final 6 cards of the deck, we are playing 3 Forbidden Droplet and 3 Mulchummy Fuelos. It is a 41 card main deck total, but the idea behind both of these is that Droplet is a very good field breaker type card, and then you've got your Fuelos, it's just one of them ones, as I've already mentioned. You kind of want to make sure you don't let your opponent run rampant. Now, in a format where Droll and Lockbird is the most effective card, then you would take out Fuelos for Droll and Lockbird. But this is just one of them cards that if you drop this on your opponent, they will usually, more times than not, make their field either a lot weaker than what it probably could be, or they'll just give you so much draw advantage that it's absolutely insane. And the Droplet gives you the ability to dodge targeted effects, activate in response to carded effects, protect yourself, but you can also kind of just like negate your opponent's field and move on from there. You could play Dark Rule no more if you wanted to, but with Yubel, it's actually so easy. It's kind of like OTK. If you get your combo off and you go into Nightmare Pain and everything else in between, that swing for game will get the job done for you. Now to move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we'll just go over like the Yubel cards, then we'll go into the Fiendsmith cards, and then we'll go into the Radiant Typhoon cards. So for the Yubel cards, of course, Phantom of Yubel. And then when I say Yubel cards, we are, of course, playing the Unchained package, being the Rage and Yama. And then we do play the one Muckraker from the Underworld. Just your generic Fiend kind of cards, and then the target off the Unchained Soul of Rage can be SP Listenite. Now, if you're choosing to take out the Fiendsmith package, you could still play the Radiant Typhoon package if you wanted to. If you were to just play the Radiant Typhoon package just because you wanted to, you would still just play a Totem Bird and a number 75 Gossip Shadow. If you just wanted to play the Radiant Typhoon as the bridge, then you would only play the Melody. But what I quite like about the Radiant Typhoon package is once I've used it the first time, like if I already have access to Fiendsmith, I'm not going to go into Melody. I'll go into a Protector in Gossip Shadow or Totem Bird. If it comes back to my turn, I can always go into a Gossip Shadow early doors, and again, you're presenting yourself with a monster negate or a spell negate, spell/trap negate, without even needing to conduct your normal summon. So kind of cool, but you could bridge them out if you wanted to and just focus on solely the Djinn. Then for the Fiendsmith cards, so for the Fiendsmith cards, of course, you've got your one Requiem, working into Sequence, and then you're going to be working into your 3 fusions, being the Lacrima, your Aerial Eater, which is your bridge to get into your Yubel cards, because if you open up the Opening Spirit Gates, but you don't get access to Spirit or Samsara de Lotus, then you can use your Aerial Eater to send from deck to grave, then use the Opening Spirit Gates, discard a card, bring it back, and then you're good to rock and roll from there. Then we've got the one Neko Quip, and then the one Desiree, backed up by the final DDD Wave High King Caesar. Now again, depending on your preference, you might want to try and find space for Agmund in here, Chaos Angel, as I've already previously mentioned. If you go down the Super Polymerization route, you're going to want to crack open some space for that one. That might be where you would take out some of these cards. Like, if you're going to go Super Poly, you probably don't want to rely on Desiree so much. You don't need to rely on Lacrima that much. There's just kind of different options you can play around with depending on what you want to try out. And it really just comes down to playstyle and preference more than anything else. But that's it for the entire profile. When you're looking at cards like for your side deck, that's where it really comes down to environment specific. So you'd be looking at, for example, Harpy's Feather Duster to deal with your opponent's spells and traps, which will really help you out with your Radiant Typhoons. You could consider Trill Tactics Frost if you wanted to. You could also consider said Super Polymerization that I've already mentioned and side in some of the targets. At the base minimum, the only target you'd probably need to side in will be Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever, because as soon as you get a Yubel on the field, you know, everything becomes a Super Poly target. So you've got a little bit of flexibility, got a little kind of different options should you want to. And I thought this was kind of like just a cool update that I've been working on. Obviously, it's the cat's out of the bag in how good the Radiant Typhoon package can be for decks like this. It's not perfect. Like, I'm not saying this is the only way to play Yubel. As I've already mentioned throughout this video, there are so many different options you could do and use for Yubel. It's actually crazy. But what I like about the Radiant Typhoons, if you move fast enough, and this is why I wanted to try and get this out as early as I possibly could, is if you move fast enough, they weren't that expensive. Like I think Sven's was something like £2 to £3. Eldam's is only a super, so you should be able to pick that up. Chant is a little bit more expensive again because it's an ultra rare, but if you're able to pick them up or you already have them lying around, you're like, oh, I've got like 2 Sven sitting in my binder that I haven't got rid of yet, and I've got 1 Chant, then you can make the version work and give it a go. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Like I said, if you get 50 likes on this video before 24 hours, I will bring you a test and combo video as well, so you can see exactly how this deck wants to work and the different type of routes you can go down. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.